What is up, Dyna crew, and welcome back to another episode of Dynamite Harry's Gaming Thoughts, the series where we take you through some of my gaming thoughts and let you guys in the comments give me your opinions on the episode. Remember, we're aiming for 20 likes on this video. Leave a comment if you're enjoying this mini-series. Let me know if you want to do any other games or look at games. Let me know what you think about this episode. Remember, we're aiming for 2k subscribers before my birthday in July. I know it's a long shot, but we've hit 1700, which is an absolute massive milestone for me, so thank you very much. And let's get into today's episode where we're talking about the Division and why the Division 3 needs to happen. Now you're seeing in the background there, we're playing some of the absolute fantastic Division. So, you know, I'm saying as gamers, at this point, we are owed a Division 3. Ubisoft has just been brought out. Massively needed Division 3. We've waited long enough, we've been patient, we've stuck around through the patches, the expansions, the server outages. It is time. So in this video, I'm going to break down why the Division 1, despite its rough edges, was brilliant, why the Division 2, while solid, didn't hit quite the same mark for me, and most importantly, what Division 3 could and should look like. If you're a Division fan, a looter shooter addict, or someone who just loves a world that pulls you in, you're going to want to stick around. Let's get into it, and before we get into talking about the Division 1, I just want to say I've been playing this game, and it's got me hooked again. So let's get into it, and, you know, look at what's going on in the background straight away. I'm walking to a safe house, and I'm being attacked. You know, the random encounters in this game make this world feel so alive. You know, the different enemy types, you know, it causes you to play a different strategy each time. You've got enemies attacking me. I might run into a civilian next who's after some aid. The game makes, even though there's been this big virus outbreak, it still feels alive. Most open world games don't feel alive. They make you feel like, oh, you've got to travel miles for something to happen. This game is absolutely fantastic for that. So let's rewind back to 2016. The Division 1 drops and the hype was through the roof. We all saw what the E3 trailer, dynamic weather, gorgeous graphics, tactical squad gameplay. That moment, the player calmly closes the car door for cover, and yeah, we were hooked before we even had the game. Now sure, the final product didn't quite hit that visual benchmark, but here's the thing that gets overlooked. Division 1 still delivered one of the most immersive atmospheric settings we've ever seen in a shooter. Now you're seeing in the background here, this is New York in winter, you know. Safe houses are being moved to underground bunkers. Look, as you can see in the gameplay, I'm moving into an underground sewer to get to a safe house. You know, the game is thought about this thing. It's not just going, well, there's going to be loads of safe houses above ground scattered everywhere. You know, look at the rubbish piling up, because obviously it's underground. It's no easy way of getting rid of rubbish. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic. New York in the dead of winter after a deadly virus outbreak felt like stepping into a post-apocalyptic novel. Snowdrifts piling up in doorways, Christmas lights still flickering over looted storefronts, subway tunnels turned into makeshift shelters, and even just the game itself just felt like they'd nailed it massively. It wasn't just a design, it told a story of what New York would be like if a pandemic ever struck, which is fantastic. So, you know, it really hit the nail of what it was looking for. That sort of atmospheric horror game. Not really horror, but it still made you feel like, oh, what else is out here? It's not just people, is there anything else causing, you know, around hiding in the streets? And I think that really nailed it for me. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, how addicting this game is. You know, after this video, I'm going to go and play it again just because I'm starting to play it again. I forgot how good this game was. Now, look at me, I'm only level 11. This game obviously goes on for a long time. But it was absolutely fantastic. You know, the gameplay loop, like, if we just go and have a look at a mission that I'm playing, you know, it made you feel like if every decision you put into the game was different, you know, different boss types. You know, we're going down into an underground subway here to find out what happened to a bounty called Axel Wallace. The gameplay is fantastic here. We're going down, thinking, right, what's going to happen down here? Who am I after? So for this one, I've got to neutralise his lieutenants first before he even comes out to show. It makes you fight for that objective. And obviously the gear, like the gear system, I think is fantastic in this game. You know, getting different weapons, and Tom Clancy's games have always been fantastic with the weapons and the customization of the weapons. So the merge of the Tom Clancy's game and brand with an area like New York in a virus outbreak was brilliant. The different skills, the turret I've just deployed there, the grenade I fired earlier, you know, it really made you feel like every decision and every bit that you played was just fantastic. You know, You'd run missions, Times Square, Madison Square Gardens, the Russian consulate, but you'd finish immediately and want to rerun it in a different difficulty to get different loot. The game was that addictive, and that's why it did really, really well. And in my opinion, it's possibly one of the best looter shooters out there, just because of how addicting it is. And as I say, I'm going back and playing it myself. You know, just because the missions were addictive doesn't mean you had to keep running them though. As I said earlier, you know, the world was so alive. You just wanted to roam the streets, test out your builds, stumble into firefights. You know, each to their own. It just absolutely nailed what made a game so good. And then to add to that, once you got to the higher levels, you've got something called the Dark Zone. Now, the thing is with the Dark Zone, it's still one of the smartest mechanics in a multiplayer shooter, in my opinion. It was this lawless space where PvE and PvP crashed into each other. You'd be clearing a landmark, feeling good, grabbing contaminated loot, and suddenly another player squad rolls up. Do you team? Do you extract together? Or does someone flip rogue and turn it into chaos? This is why this game was so good. Obviously, you're seeing my PC gameplay, I've only just started. But back on when I was playing it on my Xbox, I had so many stories of, you know, what happened in the DZ, you know, teaming up with people who, you know, actually teamed up and extracted with you, compared to other people that just, you know, would get to the end and then, you know, you wouldn't be paying attention and they'd take all your loot. Now, obviously, you know, you've got to feel a bit painful at the end there, legendary betrayal and all that, but it made you want to watch your back at every single did you did. The enemies were tough, so you'd have to team up in some scenarios, but then would you ever really truly be a team? And that essence of thinking about it and am I really with this person or are they just using me? No other looter shooter, in my opinion, has ever given me that same level of sweaty palm anxiety. And even in the late years, with all the balancing headaches, the gear grind complaints, people still go back to the Division 1 and go, man, that was a serious game. Now, moving over to the Division 2. Why I think that Division 2 was still a fantastic game, and it did a lot right. For me, it just felt like there was something missing from it. The gameplay was smooth and fantastic. The cover system felt tight. Skills were more useful. Let's be honest, as you see here, Washington DC is absolutely beautiful. I'm playing the first ever mission that you experience in this game, and you're storming the White House. Now, what other game opens where you're storming the White House? How fantastic is that? The level to detail in the Division 2 was next level. The National Mall overgrown with weeds, the flooded metro tunnels, and as I said, the abandoned government buildings packed with makeshift militias. Like, the opening here just hit so different. Running in and gunning towards taking back the Capitol building and the White House was just wow. Well done, Division, for giving us that intro that really hooked us. And from the content perspective, Division 2 launched with so much to do. Main missions, side activities, stronghold, control points, collectibles absolutely everywhere. And on top of that, a way better endgame system than Division 1 had at launch. But here's where I feel like it missed the mark for me. The atmosphere. DC didn't feel like it was last stand desperate. It didn't feel collapsed. New York in Division 1 felt like civilization was barely surviving. DC felt like a war zone, but with pockets of organised resistance, functioning military units, and even civilians trying to rebuild. In short, Division 2 felt like we were winning the fight. Division 1 felt like we were barely clinging to life. And I can't stress this so much, how much it changes your emotional experience as a player. And instead of, you know, creeping through alleyways, wondering if you survive, I was storming enemy bases with military-grade precision. And the shift in tone took away from what Division 1 made so gripping. Also, the Dark Zone in Division 2, it never landed the same. Splitting into multiple zones, reducing the risk, it often softened the tension. You didn't have the same, oh no, I'm about to get ambush vibed. You could argue it was a lot more fair, which, that's not what made the Dark Zone brilliant. It was the betrayal, the chaos, the unpredictability, as I mentioned when we were talking about the Division 1. So, you know, it didn't hit the same mark. However, when the Warlords of New York came out, players flooded back, because returning to that cold, collapsed New York instantly reignited that feeling of danger and emotion. It was a reminder that setting matters, not just mechanics, but the soul of the world you're playing in. And as you can see in the background, we're getting a nice visual of the White House. While fantastic and great, it just, you know, it felt like, as I said, we were winning the war and we've got military grade equipment. It didn't feel very much Division like. The bosses that we were fighting in this game, while again very, very tough, as you see here, I'm taking on many different bosses and mini guns set up in hotels, and having to move to cover. The fight just felt more like you were not really in it, but more you were running it, and it just lacked that gripping thing for me. So in my opinion, Division 3 can't just be a technical upgrade. It needs to be a spiritual return to form. First off, the setting. Give us a city that's falling apart. Not just a messy, not just chaotic, but truly collapsed. Maybe give us changeable environments. So, when the winter's in, you can't go through certain passageways because the snow piled up and there's nobody to clean it up. Or the building's falling apart, so you can't, the one day you'll go through it and the building's there and you can go through it. The next day, it's not there, and then you have to wait for someone to come and move out the rubble and stuff like that. Give us that change in experience. Don't just make it, here's New York or here's Washington. Give us something different. Take it international. Go somewhere like London under martial law. Berlin under deep winter lockdown. Tokyo turned into a no-go zone after the viral outbreak. Give us something else. Imagine Division 3 set in Chicago, with Lake Michigan frozen over, the skyscrapers dark and gutted, gangs controlling the neighbourhoods, as survivors huddling in underground train stations. That would be fantastic. Now, the weather has to matter as well. Dynamic blizzards that reduce visibility, flash floods that force you to change your path, even heat waves that mess with your stamina. Give us that survival mechanic which makes the Division such a great, great game. If you wanted to take it to the level of adding hunger and temperature and resource territory, possibly do it, but I think then you'd go in too far down the survival route, and that's possibly where you'd lose players because it'd be too much. Give us back the original Dark Zone, massive interconnected spaces, more rogue mechanics, and extraction zones that feel risky, not routine. Maybe introduce base building, let players upgrade settlements, not just quest hubs, but as a living, breathing community. Choose defences, assign NPC roles, expand your influence. And for the love of everything holy, fix the bosses. No more guys in jeans soaking up 2,000 bullets nonsense. Give us smart, tactical, layered fights. Give us something where we really feel like we're working, and a great reward at the end of it for beating that boss. And evolve the world over time. Make it feel alive. Safe zones fall, new enemy factions rise, events ripple across the map, so that every season feels fresh, not just a new loot pool. Because here's the bottom line. Division 3 has a chance to not only revive the franchise, but push the entire genre forward. So that's my pitch, that's what I think. That's my rant, that's my plea. Ubisoft, we really want a Division 3, and we want it to go hard. Not just bigger, not just more polished, but darker, riskier, more immersive. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would you like to see the Division 3 back in a brutal winter setting, or would you rather explore a brand new location? Or are you in the camp the Division say the time's up, it doesn't need to come back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to be reading all of them, reacting to all of them, letting me know. I'm going to be responding to you guys as well. And I'm super curious what this community wants. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe for more deep dives, and hey, maybe share it with a fellow agent who's still holding on to hope for the series. Until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and remember, trust nobody in the Dark Zone. Peace.